I hope traders and investors alike were green on Friday. The biggest thing that we have coming up this week is Powell speaking on Tuesday, doing a little Q&A thing. We also have some big names coming in reporting earnings this week, and we have a lot of Fed speakers this week. This information will be provided throughout the week. I didn't add it to the video. We don't have, most of the bigger names are in, like Apple and Amazon. Most of the bigger names are in, so it's not as exciting as it was. But the Fed speakers, we still have a lot of those. They can move the market. So I do want to talk about Friday's move when we get to the SPY chart and look at some of the other names as we go through the charts. You can see that we did not have the participation on Friday that we had in previous days on this move up and that gap down. So we're going to talk about those candles. Here on the put to call ratio, we're back at 91. So we went from finally getting back into the bullish zone back up to the neutral zone. Still a good look though. We haven't spent much time here within the last 13 months or so. And you can see Ethereum out of this back, got this little ascending triangle, trying to break up above this resistance level. It did pull back in on Friday. It's worth keeping an eye on. We would like to see them come after crypto, Bitcoin, all the names, all the altcoins. It helps, keep the FOMO going in the market. And there is a lot of FOMO in this market right now. And we can see that with the weakness, they coming back in, buying these dips on these some of these weaker earnings names. You can see the NASDAQ here. Oscillators 158, still warm there, better than the 200 we were on Friday, well over 200. So we have cooled off there. You can see the New York Stock Exchange 85, much better than Friday's number. So that's actually in the neutral zone. That's good. Plenty of room to move in either direction on those. You can see the SPX here, weekly candle. We did give quite a bit of that move back. We had made a nice strong move up Friday, the gap down, and then, pushing and then pulling back, which, like I said, we're going to talk about that candle when we get there. But we are still holding the 50. Still not a bad candle, but we did give quite a bit of it back. You can see the breadth chart. So we are seeing a change here with our MACD bearish histogram. You can see here the last two times we got that signal, we did not get this thrust here. So we did get a nice move up Thursday. It looks like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to kind of renewing some of that strength. Kind of cancels out that part of the histogram, or the histogram divergence. The moving average divergence we have down here on our breadth chart, we can still see. You can see this one here where we received a bearish divergence here. We did get some of these thrust up before we broke apart, and you can see it right here, a nice thrust up. So we still could pull back, but like I say, the histogram divergence was renewed. Seeing some renewed strength coming in. Now that candle is worrisome. Like I said, we'll talk about that. VIX still just chopping around, still under that daily 9. Crude breaking out of this little rising wedge. Not a big rising wedge fan, because you can get a rising wedge just about out of anything coming off of a fresh downtrend, and it can give you the look that so many fresh uptrends could be pulling back, and that's just not the case. So it's not a pattern that I look for, but you can see we got a strong close out of a strong bearish candle out of a bearish pattern. So looking for another move down. Look for energy and weakness for now. Energy, healthcare, basically all the safety stocks, we're seeing weakness in them, just as expected. So you can see the Apple chart here moving on expanding volume. A lot of charts moving on expanding volume right now. You can see this huge candle up, but you can see some of this pull back. Let's take a look at the daily candle here, or the 15-minute chart showing the earnings move. We kind of had a rounding top coming right into that earnings move. Big pullback. They bought it back up, pull back again, and a lot of people were surprised by this, but they bought this market back up, or bought Apple back up, and they did it full-blown FOMO. You can see it vertical there. We can see on the daily chart that it did close strong. It did not give a whole lot of that move back. This had a lot to do with what strengths we did see in the market on a Friday. Just them coming after Apple so hard. That helped create some frenzy in the market. Gold, we were expecting a pullback, in a lot of things, and gold is one of them. I did not expect to see this kind of pullback. We got two deep, deep bearish candles there. I was thinking more of a pullback to the 20. So gold, to me, I need to see where this is going. I need to see some kind of signal, some kind of bearish signal. I could look for follow through, but I would have to see the follow through play, the candle push and then snap back. This candle closed pretty strong, so I would expect to see some follow through off that. Just don't know how much more deep we're going to get without putting in some kind of base. So you can see your advance decline lines have turned down. And you can see Friday's move had that move down, that gap down, and then the bearishness that we seen in that candle did have some strength to it. You can see the SPX here. So this is the S&P 500. This is the highs and lows, and this is pretty promising. Seeing a big move here. This is telling us that we have many more new highs charts of stocks being put into the market when we have new lows. That's a pretty big deal. We want to see that continue. AMC broke out of this flag. You got 2 red days up there. Not a huge move. It was a nice move up, but it's not really showing a lot of promise there. It's not holding it very well. Holding the gap, but those candles are just not very promising. I would like to see some better candles up there. If not, it's not going to hold together very, very well. You can see both days here, big push, pull back, big push, and pull right back to the open. So we do need to see some better action in that name. AMD, you can see Friday could not quite match Thursday's high. You can see Amazon here. This was a ugly candle on Friday. Gap down with the markets, and they did not come back for it. Well, you can see it pushed up. At the end of the day, they did bring it back down. ARK, decent move on Friday, but once again, this whole candle here being gapped down like this. Just at one time, we had a strong move. Bulls were very strong, but they lost control when the bears were able to bring this candle back down. Still closed on the positive side, but showing some weakness, gapping down. It was a good sign seeing the bulls, fight for, come in for the fight, try to push it back up. But the bears did able to, they were able to recover and pull a lot of these stocks back. Still got a green close on a lot of stocks. We got some dojis in which we're going to see. You can see Abby here. If Abby can break back below, I'm could be bearish on Abby. If Abby can get below this candle body right here, would start looking for a move down. As long as it holds that support and support of that candle, I'm just not interested. You can see AMD with the inside day, and we could see it on the intraday chart. You can see the inside day there. But AMD was extended. Strong daily or weekly candle here closed over the weekly 50. That's a good sign. See where we open up tomorrow. Hopefully we don't gap down. So that's the bad thing about the stock market. It can easily gap down, and it makes it a little harder to judge than some of the 24-hour trader charts that can be a little easier when you don't have those gap ups and gap downs. You can see a firm gap down on Friday, got back below this daily 200, and a firm intraday. You can see the lower low on Friday. Amazon, you can see the nice perfect downtrend, and we're going to see this downtrending channel on some other stocks as we go through. Amazon weekly, we could not close above this support. That makes that resistance. Still holding the weekly 9 and 20, but we could not close back above that support. That's not the greatest sign. AEO, American Eagle, breaking out this little ascending triangle here, pushing up. Back up above support here. 9's on its way up. See if we can flag and get a move off that 9. American Express, huge move on Friday. That was one of the big winners on Friday. Things been moving on expanding volume since this gap up. Good volume coming into that one. Apple, strong push last week, closed over the weekly 50. It's a good place to be. Boeing, we are seeing money flowing back out of Boeing again. You can see we're back below the 9 and 20 there. I could easily see a move down to this 50 right now, especially with seeing that money flow out of it. MACD's bearish. BABA's also rolling over here. Back to the bottom of the Bollinger Band, so we could see a retreat back to the mean. BRCC, nice expansion here coming out of this little contraction zone. See how we act there. A lot of times they get pretty wild on that expansion move. Bitcoin weekly, not doing much, just kind of hanging out. You can see Ethereum. Ethereum and Bitcoin look a lot of like Bitcoin. Ethereum chart probably looks a little bit better right now with that ascending triangle. Looks like they want to break down and pull back a little bit. You can see Boeing here, nice push up, hit a wall, just a big wall there as it pushed up. I was unable to take that out and finally had a big pullback on Friday. That was on the radar. BNY breaking out this contraction pattern in the expansion phase. Hopefully we can start to move up. If we can get above this 50, hopefully we can start a move up here. The expansion phase can be pretty wild. This is why we suggest to trade the trending phase and leave, the contraction phase, leave the expansion phase. I love the expansion phase. There's a lot of money to be made in there. But for newer traders, we just recommend just focusing on the trending phase. You can see AI. I don't know if there's going to be any more move in this, but we had this on the radar last week. I put the chart up a few times, but it was all over a new squawk. So I personally wasn't trading it, but the opportunities were there. Oh, could still see some FOMO on that one. I mean, it looks like it's run up already, but you never know what you're going to get out of moves like that. You can see CVX here seeing a weakness since their earnings come out. Crude's been pulling back. Just seeing a weakness in these names. You can see there's not been much to do there. Charge points broke out this little flag, come up, tested at 200, has pulled back. Let this 9 come up. See if we got to take that 200 out there. You can see the wicks showing some big selling pressure going into that level. Chewy, nice push up here. But once again, you can see Friday, that candle, coin, Friday, this pen bar candle here, they brought this candle all the way back down. So you can see this, we gapped down from the get-go Friday morning versus Thursday, strong day on Thursday. The market, everything pulled back on Friday, and you can see that we did managed to close a little above where we opened up at, but at one time you can see big push here, which we had this on the radar, had heavy call flow coming in on it, big push, but the bears did come back into the market half day and pulled the market back towards the end of the day with a big move back, and we've seen a lot of weakness in breadth. You can see XLP, a series of lower highs there. DraftKings, nice little flag break pushing up. Ugly doji here on Thursday. Friday had a decent candle. This candle was stronger than some of the other ones, but I'm still seeing a lot of wick there. So that wick's just showing me that the bears were coming in, applying pressure. Lily, we're still watching this head and shoulders pattern as it's flagging its way down, respecting the 9 to the downside. So we just got a nice test of that 9 again, trying to continue to pull back. You can see energy breaking apart here. And a lot of that, well, crude's pulling back, but a lot of that is also the weakness we're seeing in some of these names that were so strong, in 2022. Now the market's changing. Market's basically having an attitude change and going after a lot of those names that were selling a lot of the names that were strong and buying a lot of the names that were showing weakness. A lot of the growth names, the smaller caps, the mid caps is where the money's been hitting, and the large caps is where the money's been hitting into. In 2023, just a lot of FOMO going on here in the market. You can see First Solar, you have a evening star here. I like this evening star due to the size of this candle. You can see a lot of bear strength here in the pattern and closing pretty deep. We did open up and come back and retest the candle line, see where we can go from there. FCX trading in this diamond, breaking to the downside. MACD's rolling over, looking for a move down. We could come down to that 50. Google, we had a nice flag break here, push up, same thing, gap down on earnings. Still closed pretty strong here. Just another one, the earnings just were not great. They did come, bulls did come back in and buy it right back up. You can see we pushed right up to the top of this candle line. That's where we've seen our resistance at. Pull back, closed under this previous level of resistance. It's still resistance. We also closed under the 200. You can see the strength of that end of the day move. The bears really come in, pulled the market back. IWM, pretty much here, you can, it's not perfect, but we're right here at the 199 range, 198, almost 199 range. Almost looks like a double top here on the intraday charts. To confirm this double top, I'd want to break below those areas. I mean, I'm not expecting an all-new low out of a double top on a 15-minute chart, but we could definitely see a pullback there. Their Qs, same thing. You know, we gap down on Friday. They come back in. This is because of a lot of weakness in those earnings. You know, the bulls come back in and bought this market rate back up. But at the end of the day, you know, the bears come back in and took back control of the market and pulled it back down. That is just not the strongest candle. It's not the best sign that we want to see here. You can almost expect some follow through coming in, and we could see a move down in the morning. We may even gap down. I'm curious to see where the futures are going to open up at. You can see the Qs here pushed up, kind of hit a wall and pulled back. Qs weekly closed over top of the weekly 50. Good sign there. JP Morgan, this little symmetrical triangle, big bullish engulfing candle right at the apex. You can see we gapped down and they just ripped this thing right back up. Nice move on that candle. Held nicely. LVS flagged into the 9, trying to push up. This one may have a little more into it before pulling back. Moderna, we talked about how it looked like we were trying to form a possible head and shoulders pattern. You can see we got that, moving lower out of it. When you're dealing with an upward sloping head and shoulders, the trick is, or the buy trigger is to open below this right armpit. Moderna intraday, not much going on there. MU had a nice push it open and give it back on Friday as well. Kind of the action that we've seen. Macy's made a really strong move off this contraction pattern, expanded to the downside, trended back up. Very nice move there. Mara, you can start to see possible shoulder, head, possible shoulder, close below your 9 and 20 on your daily. I like it better below this candle wick there. Looking for downside if we break below that candle wick. Merck still trading in that rounded top, still heading lower, and that's what we're expecting out of those names. We knew money was coming out of those names. We've talked about that. So that alone could have made a very nice options trade for somebody who's not so tactical about entries. You could have opened up the proper position with the proper strike and made money on that as to the downside. Meta, nice gap up there on earnings. You know, once again, we're not the best earnings. Better than any earnings they've had in the last 6 times, but still not the best, and the market reacted very well on it. You can see the intraday move here. Huge move on that earnings pop. I mean, huge. Anybody who held through earnings on that one printed. MU, you can see the same candle on Friday. You can see how we gapped down. The bulls brought it back up, but the bears were able to take back control. Just not a lot of, you know, it's just not the best information that's in that candle for us. You know, we would prefer to see a strong close coming in today, looking for more upside. But it does look like we could even gap down, so we could definitely see some pullback on that. And I don't mean pullback. So basically, it's what I'm saying now. If we pull back, we're pulling back into strength, which is a much better place we were back here when we pulled back into weakness. So this little inverted head and shoulders on Microsoft has been working. You can see the same candle there. This one's even more bearish because it closed red. The bulls were able to take it below the opening price. So that's just showing some, you know, more bearishness versus the ones that closed green. Microsoft still below the weekly 50. So Microsoft's still trading a little weaker than some of these other names and still has some work to do. You can see NVIDIA here. I like how NVIDIA, even with the gap downs, was able to hold this candle line. So that's a good sign. I would like to, you know, obviously, we talked about that same candle. Would like to see a stronger candle than that. But you can see here that we closed a little above the opening candle. So that's why that candle's green. NASDAQ, same thing. Gap down. Bulls pushed it up. Bears brought the candle back down. Netflix is grinding up, but you can see the same candle. So here's Palantir. Palantir closed below the opening, so just seeing some weakness in that name. Pendleton, you can see big move up here, and then you can kind of see the strength fading away in the candles. And we closed on a long-legged gravestone there. Plug, you can see where we pull back. We had took this flag, or basically a resistance level out, breaking out this little pattern here, and we just pulled back into it on Friday. Qs, monthly candle still holding a very decent candle here, still above your 50 and your monthly 9. Just monthly 20 is resistance. Riot is actually stronger than Mara right now. Nice push up, which is unusual. Riot used to be the king of the cryptos. Kind of lost that, not the past August, but the previous August, and then Mara just kind of took over. But you can see this little ascending triangle, little flag here we broke up out of, coming back for maybe some kind of retest here. Definitely not the best candle. You can see the gap down, pushed up, and then the bears even brought it lower than the opening closing there. So that is a lot of bearishness in that candle. So we have Robulux here, pushed up, come back, retesting the support level. Roku, we got a really nice move out of this week, but once again, look at Friday's candle. The bears come back in and brought that candle back down. SPX, you can see we're going to talk about the SPY candle in a minute, same thing. The diamond trading in a little symmetrical triangle there, still looking for a breakout. SPY, so this is the SPY's weekly. We are still over the weekly 50, closed over the weekly 50 there last week. You can see our downtrend, really nice move here. I would love to see just even if it's just a pullback to the 9 and hold right there. We could see at some point we should be looking for a retest of this trend line. But if we could gap down tomorrow and buy off that 9, that would be great. SPY monthly. Looks decent here. You can see this so far. We are holding above these candles here, so I like that. We got to get back above this 20 here. Your monthly 20 on the SPY is resistance. Same thing on the SPX. SPY daily. You can see how we gap down, pushed up. Same setup that we've been seeing. Pretty much come down. Pretty much got that gap fill. When we pull back, gap down, and the bulls were able to take control of this candle and rip it higher. Bears come back, brought that candle down. Just definitely not the strongest signal. You can see the channel we were trading in on Friday. Our trend chart, bullishness all the way through. Squares had a really good move up. Coming off of here, this morning star down here, big push up. Still pushing up. Friday's candle's not the greatest, but we were looking for a pullback in a lot of these names. We were getting away from the daily 9. We like to be closer to that daily 9 when possible. This cup and handle breakout on shop, still worth watching. TLT, you can see this is TLT's weekly chart. We put in this tabletop right here at resistance. We take that out, looking for a move up in bonds. The stock market likes when the bonds are pushing up. Tesla, Friday, you can see we did push up, but put in a higher high here and then pull back. That's on the intraday. XLK is looking pretty good. You can see the money coming into the technology sector. Tesla, so we did manage to close over this daily 20 and that resistance level. That's a good sign. Nice push up here. Tesla was stronger Friday than a lot of other stocks. We did not gap down as bad. We held these levels. The bulls did not, lose the entire candle like we did on a lot of other names. Ups, UPS, nice breakout of this downtrend that we've been trading in. Earnings come in, give us some momentum to get us above that level. Looking for a further move up there. We may have to come down and do some retesting. GDX pulling back. We know gold's pulling back, so we're expecting, obviously weakness in the gold names. XLF, banks are still strong. We've put together another list just for, I have a financial sector, but just for the 5 banks, and going to get back into trading them a lot more. Took 33% on Citibank this week. XLF, nice push up. ExxonMobil, you can see we're remaining under this downtrend, losing these moving averages. So seeing a lot of weakness there. Crude's pulling back. Now you can see TLT, we've lost the 200. We finally got above that 200. Now we have lost the daily 200 there. IWM, strong move, very strong move. That candle's closed pretty strong. You can see the IWM held the gap down a lot better. We managed to hold, so we did gap down, obviously. We can see that. We managed to hold Thursday's candle line here. So we basically opened up, same place we opened up Thursday, and at one time we had, pushed it very strong throughout the day. The bears did come back in and pull that candle back down. Pretty much the same candle throughout all these stocks, throughout the market. I hope you find this helpful, and I will see you in the trading room. Have a great day.